All right, guys, we are live again on the 26th of June, and this is the Lather Games, and it's almost over, just a few more days. So we'll make the best of it. It has been a labor of love to bring these live videos to you guys, mainly because normally I will give myself about a 24-hour window to publish, and then that gives me some time to do the write-ups. I'm having to do the write-ups right after the shaves, and so it's been challenging sometimes. The today's today's theme is Maggard Razors. It's their sponsored day. A whole bunch of people are going to be using London Barbershop today from Maggard Razors. They also have a mango sage tea or something like that. They got about half a dozen soaps in their collection, maybe more than that. And they're good quality. They're made by a lady who does Through the Fire Fine Craft. It's a long name, but she does the soap base for them, and it's a good one. And the scents aren't really too exotic or strange because it's their house brand, and so they wanted something that was just going to be reliable, good quality, good performance, and sense that when you look at London Barbershop, you kind of think maybe you know how it's going to smell, and you're not really looking for any surprises. And I enjoyed the ones that I've been able to try. Hey, Danny, I am on early today. It is Saturday, and and so I wanted to get the shave done so that my nights weren't as late this time. So the kids are out playing, and we'll see if they have any interruptions on live camera here. The other Maggard's gear that we have is a little guy that regularly becomes a very low priced item during the Christmas or Black Friday type sales at Maggard's website. I don't like the handle at all. It is a chore to hold on to. However, if you bought it and then like siliconed or glued something on the end, then it might be, because I think maybe I got it for $6 or $8. It might be one of the best bargains out there if you just did a little DIY to it. I think it's maybe an aluminum handle or something, and it just gets so slippery, and it's small. My hands are big, and so maybe you guys with more average sized hands can hold on to it a little easier. But it does get very slippery and a lot of work to keep under control. Oh, I need to look at the daily challenge today. I looked at it earlier. Maggard's also does razors, and they're not taking new ground with their razors. They're taking the Bai Li razors that are available over in China and stuff, and they're selling them here. A lot of other companies as well sell these razors. And the turds will take a head like this and mark it up 3, 4, 5 times and give you a story and say, this is the same head that's on the Godfather from Viking's Blade. And then they'll try to get you to pay $40 or $35 or something for this razor. And not just a head, but with this long kind of teardrop looking handle. But this is the V3M, Maggard's V3M, and it's a very underrated head. As you can see, it's got a lot of curve to it. It is a mild. The M is for mild. The curvature of the head here means that the blade has a lot of security. You've got the bottom base plate goes right up to the edge, and so that makes this a smooth, consistent shaver. And then they've made the exposure and all those other variables so much that it doesn't have a ton of exposure, and so it's mild, very smooth. It's a wonderful feel to this razor. This is not a Maggard's handle. I just happened to grab this one. It's a Razor Rock handle, but it does fit. Let us use the Nasset blade, and today is use number 403. Hey, Tito, welcome. And then, so let's bring out the Nasset. If it's close enough, does it really focus well? Nah, I don't think so. And let's put it on here. And also we have great alignment here. The folks at Bai Li put posts like the vintage techs and stuff. They put posts on the 4 corners of the top cap, and you're going to have perfect alignment every time. And this is just an underrated razor. I think it's a great one for people to start out on. Not only is it cheap, it's not going to break your bank at all. On the Buy Lee website, like AliExpress and stuff, you'll be able to get it for maybe $8. And of course, you can get it from Maggard's, and Maggard's is not really marking it up very much at all as well. And so get it from their site if you want. It's a Zamac head. It's not going to last you 50 years, but just keep that bolt clean after you've used it for a while. Keep it dry mainly. Keep that corrosion from happening, and it'll still, for that $8 or $10 that you spend on it, it'll give you 10, 15 years of use with good care easily. Zesty's here as well. Yes, Denny, we're at 403. Howdy, howdy. Oh, that's right. Maggard's did a redesign of their website. They've got 10% off. They got a sale going on. And so if you're interested in Maggard products, this is a great time. A little bit of water on. I haven't even combed my hair today, so we're just gonna have to deal with weird hair sugar daddy today. All right. That Maggard's 2-band brush, I told you how I don't like the handle very much at all, but I love the brush itself, the knot. It makes me think that I might want to buy that knot itself and put it in another handle for sure. If I can't find a DIY solution to make that handle a little more ergonomic. I'm going to get my little scoop here, and we're going to scoop out about 1/4 teaspoon. Yes, Zesty is enabling us by making it easy to buy from Maggard's. Plus, I mean, the people at Maggard's are awesome. They're shavers too. Brad Maggard is the kind of the leader, and he likes the straight razor kind of situation. As far as I know, he does a great job at honing services. So that's part of their business as well. And just quality folks. And you don't find their stuff marked up like other people do. It's just great to have them on hand. I'm going to take this pretty much an even 1/4 teaspoon here of the London Barbershop. I did have a sample of the leather and tobacco scent that they have, which I like probably better than this, but I wanted to remind myself how this one smelled. I've definitely brought some different shaves from the leather and tobacco to you guys, and this maybe I've only brought one time, so I thought now this is kind of a gritty. It's an interesting soap here. It's easily smearing, like it might hurt attendance since we are working with daylight hours instead of you vampires in the middle of the night like me sometimes. Okay, I got my face wet already. Oh, hey, so this is Maggard's Day. I'm going to take a look at the challenge here. And so that's why I've got several Maggard's products. But the aftershave is Jefferson Square by Mickey Lee Soapworks, and the splash there. And then we're going, Jefferson Square is a nice little lavender, if I recall correctly. And we're going to battle the lavender with the potency of Tabac. This is their Eau de Cologne. And that'll be the finisher for today. And if we go back, then hopefully I find the daily challenge. All right, I will. I can't, unfortunately, you guys are chatting. I'm looking online, so I can't see what you're chatting. While I wait for that to load, I'm going to shake most of the water out of the brush. It's still wet. We'll kind of start getting this soap wet. This knot had nice soft tips, as I recall, and it had a pretty easy splay. It wasn't too resistant to that. It wasn't too stiff, so I think I thoroughly enjoyed it. The knot aspect, at least, the last time I used it. And of course, it represents a great value. Now, immediately I've got, as I've been working this lather up, immediately I've got some nice, pleasant, barbershoppy, light, maybe a little bit of floral, um, maybe some hints of citrus. It's actually a blend that I am not really placing very well right now. When it's blended so well like this, my nose is not smart enough to pick out too many ingredients. But it's pleasant. It's a clean, slightly maybe feminine. There's nothing musky about it. And I think, you know what? I think the London barbershop, that whole genre, the English barbershops that I've tried have definitely been more flowery and feminine than some of the American barbershops that I've tried. And so the fact that it says London barbershop may kind of give you a hint as far as the kind of the leaning of that as a barbershop. So let me scroll here and find the Saturday Lather Games set of the day thread on our wet shaving on Reddit. And so I'll keep mixing while that loads. Hopefully it's not messing with you guys and your ability to receive the video clearly. Already we've got a nice creamy, fairly dry lather. Today's surprise challenge, lather audit. That's right. I read about that. All right. So I am going to maybe get my cell phone out and try to get some pictures and see if we can do that. Get this lather to just a beautiful state to submit for the lather audit. I mean, it's a great looking lather. Now, right now, we do not have a big sheen on it. Now, my belief, my personal belief, based on tons of experience, is that sheen is just a property of the soap. It doesn't mean you're done. It doesn't mean you need to keep adding water or you can stop adding water. It doesn't mean it's a good quality soap. It's just an aspect of the soap. You know, some soaps give you a sheen and some don't. I've definitely seen it many times on websites, forums, talking about sheen as being good, as if it were something you need to make sure you achieve every time you shave. Now, it is pretty, not saying that. It is pretty and attractive, and it can make a lather look really classy, but it doesn't, at least in my guess so far, it doesn't mean that you've got a quality lather in play necessarily. Here's a kid on the stairs. Okay, now I'm back to seeing the chat. Yep. Hey, you can watch TV or play on your device.
Really?
Yep. Right, if it's time, right?
Yeah.
No?
I think it is. One thing.
Yeah.
They've sprayed me.
Okay, we'll deal with it later.
Out of anger.
Yeah, we'll deal with it later. Hey, cooled you down.
Kind of.
Enjoy that part of it. But if it's 6 o'clock, you can come in.
Actually.
If it's 6, you can come in. You can do your device or you can watch TV. All right. Nihilistic is there. Hard to read such small text. It's stepping away from me. It's far away from me right now. The V2 open comb head. Yeah, from Maggard's. Yeah, it really is all their stuff. They've got the V3 that's that DE89. Instead of buying an Edwin Jagger or a Muley DE89, get the Maggard instead. It'll come with a stainless steel handle, and it'll have the same head that you get with the others. It's a Zamac head. It's all the same design, and it's a good average shaver. This one's more on the smooth side, and that one's a little bit more mid-range. Now, one thing I think that makes this V3M, the mild one that I'm going to be using today, one thing that I think makes it a great one to start out on is, number one, it's really smooth and consistent. It's not going to be chattering as it moves across your skin. It's not going to give you irritation because of that. Also, it is, as a mild razor, it's going to have a smaller window of effectiveness. The angle there Hey, yeah, yeah. The angle there is going to be smaller than if you have the aggressive one that has more exposure. Of course, it's going to have a more wide angle of ability where it's effective at cutting hairs. But what that means is with practice, with even with a mild one, you'll discover comfort and safety in terms of you're not cutting yourself to death, and you are discovering the skill of getting the right angle. And so you work at that and you get it. And now, once you've got that nailed, then and you know how that perfect angle feels, either you love it or you're a better shaver for the other kinds of razors as well. And so that's why I think it's a great one to start out on. It may have a little frustration for some because it might take a little bit to get that angle, but I really don't think it takes too much. Ah, okay. Yeah, Hakime likes the barbershop smell of Maggard kind of above many of the others. Yeah, it's a decent scent. It's now Sterling's I think has more amber or musk or something like that. Not musk. Maybe it's just amber. Um, it's a little bit darker or browner, if you will, if I can call a scent brown. And of course, you've got Seville from Barrister and Mann. You've got Barbar from Noble Otter. There are so many people have done barbershop scents because it's a wonderful part of shaving history. It's clean, it's classic, it's um, you've got nice florals in there, but many times they're mixed with things like basil and herbs, um, and to give it something other than just pure floral. And so let's now notice this lather is still kind of hanging out on the shelf up there. Now, this one may not need me to take it to such an elastic point to where it's just dripping down, but it may. I can't remember about this base. Not all bases are that flexible. It's hold now. Look, gravity is affecting it. It is kind of, but look at how it holds its shape when the blob is landed in the bowl. Now, it's up to you to figure out where you like your lather. Maybe you like it exactly right here. We've got some peaks. We've got some long elastic peaks that move, but it is holding its shape in some respects. I'm going to keep pushing it. We're going to push this one because this is lather audit day, and we're going to see how far we can take this lather. Just get it, and yeah, now it's kind of developing a little bit more of a sheen. Wouldn't it be nice if you found a soap where the sheen was a really great landmark that matched exactly where you like to have your soaps, your water consistency, your hydration levels? If you manage to find one of those, and now you just keep adding water until the sheen pops, and then you're done. Isn't that be convenient? Almost like one of those turkey timers. And we've got tons of quantity now that we've kept adding water. Because of that, it's starting to get a little messy with the fingers. Sounds nice too when you have a brush with a lot of backbone and you're working in a bowl like this. There's a definite sound that you get, and right now the sound I hear is very soft. It's very flowy. It's muffled by the liquid lather, that sort of thing. It's almost a creamy sound, and so that can be a detector as well as you discover where you like the consistency of your lather. All right, let's pull this guy up. First, I'm going to tilt you guys down so we make sure that we have good lather coverage for lather audit day. Now you can see we've got some textures there on the blob. It's still it is affected by gravity there. It's holding on to itself. And so I'm definitely glad I'm taking it to this level. And let's keep going. We are adding a lot of water to this, and it's a quarter teaspoon. So obviously, it looks like a quarter teaspoon is going to be plenty of soap to get you quite a good number of passes. Maggard's has a great clearance page that I often check to see if something that I like appears there or something I want to try. And we're just talking about consistency here. After I add the water, I just want to give that a good mix. Now here, let me mix around here in the center to where I might normally be creating a shelf on the upper parts of the wall. And now I remove, and look, there's no shelf at all. A little bit of something right there, but in general, there's just no shelf at all. There's so much quantity here, and it feels really good too. Look at that. This is lather day. We're going to get a gorgeous elastic lather today. I'm shaving in the daytime, and now look right there. We've got this peak, and if I balance the bowl at the right angle, then he stays vertical. If I tilt over, gravity will start to gradually affect him. Those are things to watch for. Some soaps can go way wetter than this and still not be too slick. I'm feeling some nice creaminess on my fingers as I clean them, as I rinse them off before adding water. This is taking a lot of water. We're looking at 35 milliliters of water in here. That is kind of unheard of, in generally speaking. So I might, obviously this soap is nice and concentrated so that a little will go a long way. Sure looks like it. Alessandro, welcome. Hey, man, doing fine. This is Maggard Day on the Lather Games. I've got a Maggard 2-band brush. I've got a Maggard V3 mild razor head to be using today with the Nasset. The Nasset is currently at use number 403. The soap is London Barbershop from Maggard Razors. And just a quarter teaspoon is giving me, 8 passes of lather here. I mean, it's actually hard to kind of not spill it out because it's just taken over the bowl here. That is awesome. Yeah, and it's just a good soap. Obviously, you can see why Maggard chose her through the Fire Fine Craft as their house brand soap maker. Now look, see again, I've got a big peak right there, and it's balancing, but you can see it move if I move, and obviously it's going to collapse if I switch everything around. So look at the hills and the valleys and the ridges. They're poorly defined because it's got so much water in it. Let's just use this guy right here. We have added a boatload of water to it. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, that now there's a big peak right there. Can I balance him? Just so, and then he will fall over and collapse if I don't. Some people like it really drippy, even more drippy than this, and that's okay. Find out where you like it and just enjoy it, right? Okay. And each soap base is going to have a different hydration point. That's why in my computer system, I track the water used per soap base, and so that it can give me a little shortcut sometimes with it, because one soap base may take 2 teaspoons more than another soap base, and that's to be expected. The cover of the soap, I have a sample, but I'll show you the sample. It's actually, I think, a miniature version of the cover. Is it going to focus? London Barbershop from Maggard Razors. Licensed lather adjuster. Let me get my face wet. Now, wouldn't it be funny if I started to put this lather on and I realized that it could still use more water? That would be hilarious. 35 milliliters of water. That's 7 teaspoons, I think, roughly. And it feels pillowy. I'm feeling some of that cushion, some of that resistance to compression that I kind of think of as what people mean by cushion. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, and this brush, these tips are so soft. I did soak it for 15 minutes before the shave, but it's splaying easily. This is a wonderful 2-band brush. I just wouldn't think twice about buying a 2-band with whatever Maggard is using for their 2-band knots. I mean, to me, this is the one I would recommend to new shavers if they can afford it. People recommend the synthetics, the Plasson type. Let me tilt you guys back up to the shave. People recommend the Plasson type that Maggard has. It's a very inexpensive synthetic brush, and sure enough, the tips are crazy soft. But I find it very pokey, and it shows my skin around. Like when I do up and down like that, it pushes my skin. This does it, but it does it softly and comfortably. And yeah, look at this gathering around my goatee. This could actually take some more water, but I bet it'll even out perfectly throughout the shave here. So this is a wonderful, wonderful lather here. It's cloudy, soft, pillowy, but it's not super dense. It's not thick in the sense of that aspect of density. I think another reason people may discount mild razors like this is because they are using a lather that's too dry. That dryness adds some thickness to the surface of their skin. And so a nice razor like this isn't going to be able to get that blade and cut through that thick layer of dry lather, relatively dry, not literally dry, of course. And so then they think it's too mild of a razor when the real issue is their lather is too dry, too thick, too dense. But this is luxury right here. I mean, the feeling, the tips, the lather itself, it really, I don't know how you could get a better feeling. This is exactly what I would hope for in a good quality soap. If I were to go to a spa or barber, I don't really think you could do much better. And so tremendous job by the lady at Through the Fire Fine Craft for this base. Thank you, Alessandro. About the lather. The smell, there is some citrus in there. I've been thinking about it. I described it a little bit earlier. There are some spices. There's some citrus, maybe a hint of powder. And I think some of those like basil or thyme or something that a lot of the barbershops have, I'm guessing that's in there. But it's a well blended scent. I don't think there's too much masculine in there. It's mainly staying on the unisex kind of thing. I'm not picking up any leather or musk or very much wood at all, or ambery type things that might tilt it toward a distinctive masculine vibe. But I do get the clean impression from it. And so I think, yeah, but at the same time, it's not really feminine. They're using those spices and citrus to take the florals that might be in there and keep them pretty neutral in terms of gender that one might associate. Some people do argue with me about, smells don't have gender, but I just disagree. All right. I think we're ready to shave. Zesty, as well as I do, likes the Badger over pretty much any synthetic. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, the pokey stuff. He's had that as well. Uh-huh. Oh, the tuxedo. That's a guilty party right there. The boss knot is more pokey and stiff than the tuxedo. But yeah, the tuxedo is one of the worst. Even and it's crazy because the tips of the tuxedo are amazingly soft, but it's just that shaft that's after the tips that really comes into play and annoys me. All right. With the grain, use number 403. Very comfortable as you might expect. And this kind of stroke where you're repeating in areas, I find very handy when you've got a razor where you're trying to find the right cutting angle. Because then if you feel like, hey, I just slid by and didn't get anything cut, you can just repeat the area with a slight change in angle. It also can as long as you don't get into the bad habit of pressing hard on your skin, keep a light touch. If you need to go back over an area again, then just do that. Sound sometimes. This one's not going to give you a very loud sound because of the excellent clamping on the bottom of the blade as well as the top. That it just comes right up next to the edge, and I like that because of the smoothness. But at the same time, it's not going to give you as many audio cues as some of the other razors do. Oh, that was excellent. And rinse. Now, haha, we are contrasting today because yesterday's shave with the 66, that's a more middle of the road. And in two passes, I had a very, very close shave, even with this old blade. And this mild experience here obviously is more beneficial when you have a fresher blade. I love putting a nice sharp blade like a feather or a nasset or something that you consider sharp for you into a mild razor like this. It's just a neat experience. And we've got enough lather for 8 guys to show up behind me and shave in turn. Cross grain now. So with a razor like this, you're not going to be at risk to cut yourself unless you put it on your face and slid it sideways on purpose. And so in that way, it's a nice mild, but don't make the mistake of assuming it can't give you a close cut. There are um, there are other vintage razors that have similar designed heads that have been giving people great shaves for decades and decades. And there we go. Second pass, cross grain. Oh yeah, Golden Nib Finest. I used that yesterday. It was the super version. Coincidentally, I used it just yesterday, and it had a reasonable amount of backbone, slightly more than average, I would say, but nice tips. Not the tips are not on that Golden Nib Super. They're not as soft as these. That's interesting. Now that you bring that up. Oh, nice. Yeah, those restored ever ready handles. Oh, yeah. Those golden nib knots are going to be great for those. Yeah. Hey, Refined Edge is here. And he usually has to go to bed. And so if he stops by, he usually can't talk for too long. Very cool. I'm enjoying my weekend so far, just chilling with the kids. I thought I'd get a shave in a little bit early so I wouldn't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. Ah, Kime likes the boar brushes. Yeah, well, if you've watched my channel very much, you know that I love those too. You know, my Zenith horsehair brush, the extra soft Zenith, I'm very happy with. I think you need to like a little bit of prickle to like many of the other horsehair brushes. All right, little rinse. I can tell that we're getting a gradual reduction of the beard. Again, this is a way smoothed out blade, and so a younger blade is going to probably get you there in a normal 3-pass type shave. The citrus, part of the note, part of the London Barbershop here is jumping out at me more now than it did in the very beginning. Cross grain again. Now we're dealing with really good slickness here. I'll bet this guy's going to do great on the against the grain stroke in my trouble spot. I can even do a slight diagonal here. I think it does a slightly better job of getting some hairs than just a normal straight on. On one of the forums recently, we were addressing an issue where a guy was using even an open comb and it was getting clogged up. Well, my focus is on such wet lathers that I've pretty much never had a double-edged razor clog up on me. And I think most of us decided that his problem was likely that his lathers were too dry, and he was interpreting the slickness because of that cream he was using or the soap. He was using the soap to be slick when it really needed water to kind of turn it into a real lather. Now this is very comfortable here. Sometimes this stroke here with this old blade has definitely got a little bit of roughness to it. And I think we'll just do an against the grain right here, and I think we'll be in a good spot. Alessandro likes the Zenith boar brushes. Zenith and Samog are my two favorites. If I had to pick one, I might actually pick the Zeniths. So it's definitely in the contender for me as well. Okay, Refined Edge is talking about a Sinbad. Okay, but it worked well with him. Gotcha. Yeah. With those, I have tried a Sinbad before, and it was too pushy for me. But you know what could have been the case is I could have been using it when it was mounted a little either average, to where maybe I just need one mounted really high with a high loft, mounted not very deep in the handle, like as high as it would go. And the Timber Wolf actually gave me an okay shave when I had it in such a way. I managed to buy a Timber Wolf knot that was mounted very high, and it was almost an enjoyable experience. One of the better synthetics that I've tried. The Motherlode, of course, is really soft. It's a whole different ball game. And so that one I actually like. It's that brown one with the white tips. So let's go against the grain here and just see. Yeah, this guy, we've already cut the hairs so well that this is a pretty comfortable stroke here. It's not yanking up any bad feelings, irritation. So that's nice. And with you guys who can go against the grain as a general rule, then that's even more of a reason where this little mild guy could be a nice, comfy, smooth daily driver. Yes, we're enabling. We're trying to get Hakime to talk about to check out a Zenith. Hey, there is a B10, I think, that has a plastic handle. There's a B2 that has a big handle and kind of a chrome look to it. There's a B10, I believe, is the one that has a small plastic handle, but you get those same wonderful Zenith bristles at a much cheaper cost. And so if you want to maybe try out Zenith and you don't want to spend a lot, then that might be one to check out. But yeah, I've been very happy with my Zeniths. All right, let's look at the closeness after we get a good rinse here. That's a nice scent. I wouldn't mind using that daily if I had to. Um, it's nice. Yeah, we got a good close shave there. It's not quite as close as some, but very close and very comfortable. And so that makes it even better. So there we go. This mild blade, the smoothed out blade, was able to be put into a mild razor, and just a little bit of against the grain work was all it took to get it to a really good place. So technique is super important. Nice slick wet lather is really important. The thickness of the lather did not get in the way of the shave here, and I've got another 4 or 5 passes of lather here in the bowl. So obviously, you might be able to get away with like an eighth of a teaspoon. So the base Maggard, chose for their house brand, not only is a great performer, as you can see, but it's economical as well, not requiring a lot of soap to do the job. So they just chose very wisely. And yeah, it's a nice traditional scent. Maybe a little bit of not maybe cilantro, not really cilantro, but one of those herbs that is in that family, perhaps, is an impression I'm getting. All right. Well, oh, and sometimes they'll put a little lavender in there, a hint of that. Well, we're going to put a lot more of a hint with Jefferson Square from Mickey Lee Soap Works. And this is a spray bottle, so I can spray on the aftershave. And there we go. Got some on my glasses. And of course, we're talking about some easygoing scents, the lavender matching and cooperating very well with the barbershop scent. They could definitely be mixed together. If you had a lavender cream and this barbershop, mix those together, they would go really well together, of course. I think I have a Zenith Chubby Scrubby. It's a small one. Um, but I haven't actually used it. It's really so small that it hasn't been very attractive to me. But someday I might. There's another Chubby Scrubby on the market there that has this kind of rounded, the shoulder up near the brush knot kind of rounds, and then it looks like maybe a bucket or something underneath it in terms of the shape of the handle. And with how I'm enjoying my Zeniths so far, I have the B2 and the B10 and the B23. I'm very impressed by the quality of their workmanship, and also with the boar bristles that they use. I'm a huge fan, and so I would guess that maybe a Chubby Scrubby is in my future. It's probably going to be like the B23, where the first 20 shaves or so aren't that enjoyable because of all that stroke, of all that backbone and strength in the core there. But then as it relaxes after about that many shaves, like the B23 did, then I could totally see a Chubby Scrubby type being a very welcome piece, almost like the Semogue Torga C5 that I have. It started out that same way. It's a thicker, heftier knot. It's wider and a little bit shorter, and I think it relates very much to the Chubby Scrubby from Zenith, probably synonymous. Okay, Refined Edge just got in one of those haircut and shave Z074s. That should be a fun shave. Well, you know what? Mild but still efficient is exactly what this razor is. And so, yeah, we'll see. And I have definitely seen plenty of those on the used market. Um, and so, the build quality looks terrific. So that'll be fun for you to try out, man. Since they're a little bit pricey, I haven't really felt compelled to to try one out myself. Plus, one of their handles that I see more often than other handles has this weird thing on the end. It looks like a little trumpets coming out, and then right before it, there's a little bulge, like a snake swallowed a rat. And I just don't. That visual thing just has kind of put me off, and that's real. I actually probably the main reason why I'm not drawn to that particular razor. But I mean, I'm sure they have other handles, right? Today's razor is since it's a Maggard day for the soap, I also chose the Maggard brush, 2-band, and I chose a Maggard razor as well. It is the V3. It does have the radio handle from Razor Rock, but it has the V3M, the mild head, which is the same as the Viking Godfather. If you want to go ahead and pay about $30 more, you can buy the Viking Godfather. But this is also, I think, the Biley 176, 191, one of those numbers. It's the same thing as the V3M from Maggard. So that's the razor today. Gotcha. All right. The citrus is really stepping forward now. It is a really kind of a mix, probably leaning more toward the lemon lime side than the orange side, but I think maybe there's something in there to balance it out a little bit. So the citrus is stepping forward. Maybe there is some citrus in that Jefferson Street, Jefferson Square. Maybe there was, or something in there that's affecting the scent. All right, well, I've got a ton of lather. We joked the other day about some dude who was saving his lather in like a Tupperware container and reusing it. It's kind of crazy, right? All right, well, man, we just did not need very much soap today. We used a normal quarter teaspoon amount. It takes that quarter teaspoon measure, we'll call that a spoonful. It takes 3 of those spoonfuls to get chiseled face silk tallow to work properly, just the way it's built. And that's why, largely, I believe, chiseled face is keeping the normal tallow soap that they have, because the silk tallow is just so, you have to use so much product to get it to work. Holy cow also usually requires a little bit more than a quarter teaspoon. But as you can see with this soap, with this much left over, you can use a lot less than a quarter teaspoon. And there are other soaps that are that way. And so this joins the ranks. And now right now it's lost much of its sheen. It's more of a matte type of finish, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, it's still wonderfully creamy. Since we have tons of it, let's just kind of feel it. You can see it's got plenty of hydration here. It's being very drippy. It felt great on the face, and it is leaving a kind of a soft layer of something that's making slickness. It almost feels, yeah, kind of soapy, but a little fuzzy. So I don't know exactly what ingredient they're using to do that, but it's obviously effective. I do see a bunch of micro bubbles, but it is definitely not. Oh man, you haven't been able to see my fingertips that whole time. I'm sorry. Having the camera and being in a weird place makes it harder to keep track of what you guys can see and what you can't. So a very nice soap base. It could be a little more dense if you wanted to have a more luxury feel, but honestly, I think this one's pretty much perfect. So I'm really happy. So I'll be rolling through the video, taking some screenshots today for the daily challenge of today, where it's a lather audit. Submit your lather for auditing to have it reviewed by professionals. So that's the challenge. I'm usually pretty proud of my lathers, so I kind of feel like this challenge is in my wheelhouse, easily able to be done. I wish there was a snapshot feature in my. Nah, YouTube must not have that. I'm not surprised. But let us take the Tabac. I got this in a lot purchase. I probably would not have bought it otherwise. I do like the scent okay of the Tabac soap, but I think most people don't. And so most people would not want to be around a person using a lot of Tabac scent in general. It's kind of divisive in the shaving community. So let's bring some in. There is this neat little, there's a powdery thing at first, but there's neat, almost if you burrow past the powder and the grandma, you get into this little place where it's this like a dried out amber, an intense tobacco kind of smell that I really enjoy. And so because I can see what's at the end, then I can tolerate all that powderiness in the beginning. Some people get tripped up by that powdery grandma's purse, kind of scent, and I can see why. But there's this neat little note in the back that I really enjoy, and maybe that's what keeps people going back to it for years and years now. Does it have an established date? Since 1959. Maurer and Wirtz from Germany since 1959. There were some fat boys made in 59. They were only made for 4 years, and 59 was one of them. All right. Any other questions while I clean up a little bit? It's been great being with you guys today. Yeah, as Zesty is mentioning, he is not one of those that likes the tobacco scent, but I don't know that there's too many people who can argue about the performance of it. It performs so well. I didn't really find, let's not switch gears too quickly. The performance of tobacco is just crazy. It's a hard puck, and so it lasts a very long time. And it's kind of the gold. I mean, it's really kind of a standard out there. If there's ever a thread about performance, then tobacco is one of those that's mentioned. Fine Accoutrements modeled there, and they claimed that they were actually able to get the same formula as tobacco to use for their hard soaps. And so if you don't like the tobacco scent, then those classic pucks, if you can still get any of those, there are a few around even in retailers. They got discontinued last year. But those classic pucks give you different scents with pretty much that same performance. So here's that little 2-band. As you can see, it's a wonderful little knot. This is metal, and I was thinking about trying to cut through it with a Dremel and to extract the knot and make good use of the knot, stick it in another handle. But man, that would be a whole lot of work to try to Dremel through all that metal. I'd probably rather like silicone, some kind of shape, or epoxy, some kind of shape on the end to make it easier to hold, and then just keep it around. We'll see. Or I could just piff it in a kit and then buy a knot separately and put it in my own handle. I could do that. All right, very good. I don't think my family's going to like the way I smell today. That tobacco is going to be smacking some faces, but that is the way it goes sometimes. Enjoyed the London Barbershop probably more than I did the first time I used it. I did notice during the shave how it morphed and something dropped away. Maybe some of the florals burned off more quickly than some of the other notes, and I was left with those fairly enjoyable citrus notes. So that was nice, and I think that's really what made it a better experience today with the scent. But still, it's not all that interesting. But it's one of those, sometimes, the things that appeal to the mass market aren't that interesting. They're just kind of enjoyable. So that's probably why Maggard went with those. All right. I am breathing Tabac, and I think we're good. All right, guys. It was excellent hanging out with you today. I think we'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you for joining. It was a wonderfully comfortable shave. Wasn't quite as close of a cut as yesterday's more aggressive razor, but it was very very comfortable. And even the against the grain work right here also very comfortable. So pretty good one. And I did talk about Maggards earlier in a highly favorable way, and I love them. I've ordered a good many things from them over the years, and I just don't hesitate to do that. Great customer service as well. So highly recommend them. I'm glad that they are being given some attention today because they are a small business. They're so well known throughout the shaving community that they almost can seem like a Walmart of shaving, but they're really not. It's just a few people in a building, it really is. And they're shaving enthusiasts. And there are some videos, I think. No, Sterling did a video walking through the new facility. Maybe Maggard did too. You can check YouTube for Maggard Razors and see, so you can see some of the stuff. They also do a meetup every year before COVID, at least. They did a meetup where people would come from all over the nation to talk shaving stuff and see all their cool stuff. So wonderful. All right, guys. Zesty, Refined Edge, Danny, and a whole host. We can scroll up a little bit. Akime joined this time. Very cool to have you, Alessandro. Good talking. Good talking today. All right, you guys, take care, and we'll see you next time. What is tomorrow? It reminds us tomorrow's theme is Scrumptious Sunday, where it's a food based scent. Not just that it has vanilla in it or lemons in it. It's got to be like lemonade, not just a woody thing with a lemon accord. It needs to be a food centric, scrumptious type um, scent for that day. And I've found something decidedly foodie, a great performing soap from a smaller, lesser known maker that's very food uh, oriented for you guys. All right, now take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.